Thank you for everyone for coming out, and thank you for having me here. So I study the Ontario economy, particularly with respect to new and emerging industries and technologies, and I'm particularly interested in and concerned on the impact of these technologies on the auto sector, both from a user point of view, but also from a producer point of view. Ontario has been the second or third largest automotive producer in North America since the 1990s. We have 5 OEMs operating in Ontario. We have countless Tier 1 suppliers, the largest being companies like Magna and Linamar. And we have many, many smaller part suppliers. We also have a dense network of tool, die, and mold and other companies that produce components that go into the supply network. All of that production base in the Ontario economy is currently at risk of disruption, and it is at risk of disruption because the whole transportation sector, is undergoing the most profound changes it's experienced in the last 100 years. On the supply side, we have 3 dynamic technologies that are pushing their way into the automotive sector: connected mobility, electric mobility, and autonomous mobility, which is what we'll hear more about autonomous in a moment. One of my colleagues was actually in a Waymo test vehicle in Phoenix yesterday, sent me a picture back from what it looks like in the cockpit, and all they could say was, it's very cool. It's cool, and it's coming faster than we think. On the demand side, the changes are being pushed because consumers want to consume mobility services in a radically different way than they have in the past. We want on-demand mobility. We want a vehicle to show up at our front door or our corner to take us when we want it. We're prepared to use shared mobility, and we want multimodal mobility. We want to be able to make use of all the different modes of transport that Eric was talking about to get us from point A to point B in the most convenient, least cost way possible. So this is going to generate a tremendous amount of disruption. We're going to move away from an automotive production system that has been based on single car ownership, which we've had since the early 20th century. One of the interesting automotive analysts argues that, in fact, the most radical innovation in the early 20th century for the industry wasn't the Model T Ford, Henry Ford's Model T Ford, which everybody singles out as the turning point. He argues that, in fact, a more radical innovation was General Motors Acceptance Corporation development of low-cost consumer finance that made the Model T Ford available to a broad base of the North American consumer market. We're moving away from that. We're moving into multimodal, radically different forms of transportation. It's going to be enormously disruptive, and the key question is, what does it mean for Ontario? The key question that I'm interested in, what does it mean for Ontario as an automotive producing jurisdiction? Not just the Toronto Waterloo corridor that Eric was talking about, but the corridor stretches all the way down to Windsor on the border with Detroit, and it stretches through what they call the Crescent up to Ottawa. Hard to believe, but Ottawa is emerging as a major automotive sector. So what does the future of the sector look like in Ontario? It's really simple. We have something in Ontario that no other automotive jurisdiction in North America, including Mexico, has. We have tremendous strength and bench strength and capabilities in deep automotive production, the whole OEM to Tier 1 to supply network I talked about. But we're also the 3rd or the 4th largest information and communications technology economy in North America. We rank, slightly behind Silicon Valley, the Washington, D.C. cluster, a few others in North America, but we score incredibly strongly on a comparative basis. And what plays to Ontario's strength and to the innovation corridor strength right now is the growing convergence between information technology and digital technologies in the automotive sector. And the more those technologies start to converge, the more opportunities that is going to create for both new startup firms that are trying to plug into the automotive space and work with automotive OEMs or tier one suppliers, and the more opportunities it's going to create for the large established firms in this industry in Ontario to draw upon the strength. A lot of this is being made possible by tremendous, I'm a political scientist, I study public policy. I think it's important to recognize that a lot of this is being made possible by steady and consistent investments that the governments, federal and provincial, have made into expanding the research base in both automotive technology and information technology in Ontario. A lot of what the companies that Eric mentioned who are coming to Ontario are coming for is the incredible research capabilities that we have created through an enormous range of projects, more fundamental research projects financed through the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council out of Ottawa, federal government programs like the Automotive Innovation Fund, the Automotive Suppliers Innovation Fund, the Networks of Centers of Excellence program that funded Auto21 based at the University of Windsor for 10 years. FedDev Ontario, the Regional Development Agency, is funding innovations at McMaster University, other parts around the province. The Ontario government was funding a number of innovations through a number of research innovations through some of its programs. What we're seeing emerge in Ontario in the last 10 to 15 years, and I guarantee you this did not exist 15 to 20 years ago in Ontario, what we're seeing emerge is tremendous research capability, deep knowledge, innovative and cutting-edge research capabilities, and most importantly is a deep talent pool. We're training students in the universities, in the community colleges, and how to work with these new technologies. These students are going into the startup companies, they're going into the existence companies, they're the companies that, the people that the Ubers and the other large foreign companies moving into Toronto are coming for. They're the ones working on projects in the Vector Institute at Mars in AI, and they are the ones who are transforming the scene. In Toronto, in Waterloo, I found out recently this week, there's a tremendous urban mobility cluster starting to grow in Windsor. And I was in Ottawa yesterday talking to one of the people who associated with LSpark, which is the incubator, and they've got 6 urban mobility firms working in LSpark right now in Ottawa. And anyone who was following the news this week noticed the federal government just put $40 million into QNX to fund their urban mobility research in Ottawa. And then we have this top secret project in Ottawa that nobody I ask can actually tell us about. Apple leased 25,000 square feet of research space in Canada about 2.5 years ago. They hired the former head of QNX to run it, and nobody I talk about can actually tell me what they're doing. They say, some people say it's secret, some people say it's a watching brief, but they're definitely there, and they've definitely hired researchers to work in it. So I won't say the future is bright. I'd say the future is uncertain because most of the automobile industry, as we know it, is at risk. My indicator of what the future looks like is what I see when I go into a Tesla showroom. I don't like to go into the Tesla showroom to look at the finished vehicle. I like to go into the showroom to look. They always have a model of the car with the chassis removed. And all you see is the platform of the car, the 4 wheels, the batteries, the 2 huge batteries at the front and the back of the car. And somewhere buried inside is a little mechanism for the steering, but none of the salespeople can ever explain to you how it actually works. In effect, the whole vehicle is a software product. There's hardly any physical or metal or rubber or vinyl or any of the things we associate with a car in it. It's essentially an enormously complex piece of software running on a metal platform That's what the future, I think, of the automotive sector looks like, and I think we're incredibly well positioned in Ontario to take advantage of that and in the innovation corridor. Thank you.